Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I'm really excited to have with me John Corabi. John will talk all about his new music he's putting out, as well as his time with Motley Crue, RATT, Union, and much more. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode, so let's jump in and let's get started. Awesome. So, John, let me just jump in first off and say thank you for joining me on the show today. And before we even talk about the new single, I know it's been a rough year for everybody, their families. How's your family been for the past year?
Everybody's been good. It's been a little stressful because for me and my wife anyway, we're obviously self-employed. I'm a musician. She's a hairdresser.
Oh, okay.
So this last 18 months has been like, even still, she's back to work, but it's still a lot of people have not quite fully come back yet. You know what I mean? So her business is taking a dip, and mine, to be honest with you, like I think like in 2019, I think I did probably 100 plus shows.
Sure.
Which was awesome.
Of course, yeah.
And I think since March 15th of 2020, I think up to this day, I think I've only done maybe 7 or 8 shows. It's been brutal. And I even just now, like now with the Delta variant, whether you believe in it or not, like I was supposed to go to Mexico and do 7 shows, and 5 of the 7 cities went into lockdown again. So that got postponed. So it's just like, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed, man, because I seriously need to get back to work.
Of course. Now, I think you do have a couple of shows, not like you said, not back in 2019 levels, but you have a couple of shows, October, November, December, Kentucky, California. Am I mistaken in saying that?
Well, the California shows are cool, but they were supposed to have like a whole run for me. Right now, I just looked in my Dropbox folder, and there's only literally like 4 shows, and they're kind of scattered. There's like 3 in California and 1 in Arizona. And I'm like, again, not to sound weird, but when you start tallying airline tickets and rental cars and hotels, and I'm sitting there going, man, is it worth like I'm going to fucking owe money before I'm done.
Of course. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if those shows are going to happen or not. So I have a call into my agent in the morning, and we got to sort some shit out. There's another gig that I'm supposed to do in Canada.
Okay.
That was awesome. I've been up to the place before. It was in Alberta. It's in Alberta. And I was doing press about a week ago, and it was with a guy in Canada, and he mentioned, he goes, "Why are you doing 1 show in Canada?"
Right.
So I go, I don't know. It's they booked me. That's where I'm going. And he goes, "Well, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but," he goes, "from coast to coast in Canada, it's federally mandated. Anybody from America coming into Canada has to quarantine for 10 days, regardless of whether they've had the vaccination or not." And I was just sitting there like, okay, well, that fucking changes everything.
Sure, of course.
I'm not going to go sit in a hotel room in Alberta in November for 10 days. So I don't even know if that show's happening. So it's been really financially a bit stressful. You know what I mean? So
I feel for all of you guys, not just the musicians like yourself, but the stagehands, all the people who help, put the shows on. It's had to be a really tough past 18 months. Some shows are starting to pick up a little bit, but nowhere near like it was in 2019 at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, for some apparent reason, all these, loans and things like unemployment and all, you sit there and you go, I'm a self-employed musician, and they kind of look at you like, okay,
right.
What do you want from us? And I'm like, well, I would kind of like whatever you're doing for everybody else. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And it's been really kind of scary, but I got through it, knock on wood. I'm still trucking along. Unfortunately, I kind of blazed through any savings I had over the last 18 months, but whatever, it is what it is. Hopefully it'll turn around, and it'll work itself out. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, this whole thing about masks and vaccines and everything's become so fucking political that I just don't see us getting out of it anytime in the near future. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Unfortunately. Now, the flip side, though, of all of that, which is, really tough on you and other musicians, you just put out a new song, which to me has such a happy feel to it and such a feel-good feeling to it. So how did you draw on that inspiration to put out such a happy feeling song?
I killed a couple of my ex-wives, or
there you
go. No, I'm kidding.
I know you, obviously.
I'm kidding. And now, you know what, dude? Like, the beauty of the thing is, it's weird. I can literally go into, like, I took a bedroom in my house and converted it into a little home studio, and I go in there and it's just, I get lost. And
like your paradise, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, as soon as I put the guitar down and I come out of the room and I go to get a coffee, I look around and I go, oh shit, I got to pay the cable bill,
right?
Whatever. But I just get lost in there, and I don't think about anything, and I had that song idea for a little while with Marty, and I just really kind of heard it being, for a lack of a better term, I know I used this in the press release for it, but there was just something about it reminded me of Penny Lane or Killer Queen by Queen.
Yep.
And I was just so excited about, I finally got Pro Tools, and I'm still caveman with it,
okay,
but I'm figuring it out. Like, I'm doing shit. I'm not at the mercy of the virus and having to be in a room with somebody. So I laid the whole thing down as I heard it in my head with the drums, piano. I did everything. And then I sent it to Marty. Obviously, I was using a drum machine.
Right.
So his son, Evan, played the drums. He redid the drums. And then they redid the bass too, because they wanted to make it a little more McCartney-ish, for a lack of a better term.
Sure.
And I just sat there and like, I'm like, wow, it's exactly how I heard it in my head. So, if it just puts a smile on somebody's face for a minute, especially nowadays with COVID and all the news we're being inundated with, then awesome.
Yeah.
I just heard a song from, like, obviously I listen to all the music that I have on my phone it's all 60s and 70s shit. So
right. Nice.
I was just kind of inspired by that, and I wanted to finish the tune. And then the only reason why I put this one out first is because I thought this might be the song, even though I've always said I'm a Beatles fan and I'm a huge influence in the Beatles, I still thought that this might be the song to take me out of people thinking about the Scream and Motley and Union and the Dead Daisies. Like this just kind of, here's John Corabi just
Right.
being John Corabi.
Right. Right.
And if they like it, awesome. You know, I'm really excited about the song, but it wasn't really an intentional thing. You know what I mean? I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just lost in my room with my incense and my thing and just doing my thing and being creative.
Well, to me, it's exactly what we needed during this time. And I have to say, when I first saw the song was released, my first thought was, is John singing in a foreign language on this one? And I got nervous. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to understand the word he's saying. And I hit play and I'm like, oh, good, it's in English. So what made you decide to call it Casa Bella instead of So Beautiful?
You know, it's funny. I was sitting there and again, you know, I was sitting there looking at the lyrics. I'd sang the song. And I love the chorus. I love the melody and you know, and the whole theme of the song. But I was sitting there looking at the title going, oh, this is just vanilla. It's just boring.
Right. Okay.
And then, so I'm looking at the lyrics and I'm going, okay, is there another catchphrase or something in here I could use? And I wasn't seeing it. You know, because I'm thinking even bands like, you know, Led Zeppelin, who were notorious for, they'd have a song title and never mention that word in the song.
Right.
I'm like, all right, is there a word in here I could use or nothing? So then something came over and I went on my app on my phone and I have a translation app.
Okay.
So I went in and I'm looking at the translation app and initially I first thought maybe French because French is like, oh, the language of love. You know, so I looked in French and then I tried Spanish and then I tried German and then I tried all these different things. And then I hit Italian and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Sure.
Casa Bella.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. So it was called Casa Bella. So I was out doing a show in Indiana, I think. And I had some friends from Chicago come in to see this show. And I have a motorhome, so I was hanging out. And so I brought them on the motorhome and I said, hey, check this song out I'm doing. You know, I'm just curious to see what you guys think. And so they heard it and they go, oh, what's it called? And I said, Casa Bella. And they all went, what does that mean?
Okay.
So then I went, okay, here's what we're going to do. It's Casa Bella. And then in parentheses, so beautiful.
Yep.
So all it is it's literally me just going, so beautiful. I put it in it. I typed in so beautiful in a translation app. And then I picked the one that I thought had the nicest ring to it, which was Italian, go figure. And I use that. Right. But now it's funny, I've got all these Italian fans going, oh, you finally speak Italian. I'm like, yeah, that's about the extent of my, you know.
That's so funny. Well, to me, it totally fits. Now, before you mentioned that this is the first single you were releasing, and I've heard you say you're going to release 3, 4, 5 singles roughly. When could fans expect to see the next one be released?
I'm going to try and keep to the schedule, like, you know, because it's so weird. Like it takes a minute for anything you do nowadays to really kind of catch on.
Yep.
So, you know, I was like, so what do we do? Like one a week or like, you know what I mean? I'm like, how do we do that? You know, and I sat down with Marty again. He was kind of the catalyst that really made me think about doing it this way. And he said, nah, dude, he said, you know what? Do like a song every month and a half, 2 months with a video, and then let it sit, do all the press, and just keep pumping the social media, just keep working the streaming thing, keep working YouTube, keep working all this. And then after you do 4, 5, 6 songs, drop an album. Yep. And to be honest with you, like nowadays, I'm kind of doing everything myself. So it's like I recorded the songs, I send them to Marty. Marty produces them, makes them sound awesome. And then I go, okay, I'm going to do this. Well, then I did the video with a buddy of mine, Chris Romero. And then I had to send it off and have somebody edit it for me and then check the thing. Okay. And then it's like, all right, I got to upload it,
Right.
you know, and it's like, dude, you're like, I'm still trying to figure out how to use a pen.
Right.
You know, now it's like, now all of a sudden it's like, wait, what? I gotta,
Right.
how do you upload it?
Right.
You know, so the first one took, once the song was done and we mixed it, then it took me about 3 weeks to do the video. So as soon as I get home from this trip, you know, and then it's like at the same time, I'm trying to go do shows, I'm trying to do the book, you know. So as soon as I get home, I want to pick the next song, get a video for it, get the whole package together and get it all ready and pick the date. Here's when it's gonna air. But I'm gonna try and do, only because I'm doing everything myself, videos and everything.
Sure.
I'm gonna try and shoot for one song every like 2 months.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And just go.
Yep.
So
Well, that doesn't seem to be unusual. Like, because if you look at somebody even like Wolf Van Halen, right, who just put out an album, but before that album came out, he was doing a song like every 6 weeks or so, and half the album was put out before the album release date because it was songs 6 weeks. That, and when I was talking with Brian Wheat from Tesla, he said he's putting out an album, same exact story. He said, I'm going to do a song like every 6 weeks. That business model has so radically changed from 20, 30 years ago that I think a lot of artists are doing that.
You know, there's honestly, if you think of the things like, you know, and I'm just going by my experience, and this is what Marty was talking about. Marty was like, dude, why are you doing a record?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do a record. You're looking at studio costs. You're looking at all this. And it was weird. Like we were actually in his studio while we were having this talk. And he's like, you're looking at studio costs, you're looking at, you know, mastering costs, you're looking all this stuff. Then COVID hit and I, you know, wrote the book and I'm sitting here, you know, so I was mad at myself. This is going to be a little bit of a roundabout answer, but
Okay.
I was mad at myself and I was sitting there going, damn it, like, why the fuck did I not like sit behind the board and learn how to use all this shit? I could literally just, and I wasn't even thinking big shit. I was literally thinking like just johncorabi.com, put a jukebox player or a download thing and just upload, put songs on there and just direct people to my website so they could download the songs for 99 cents or a buck or $1.50 or whatever. And I'm like, man, I could have been making money through this whole fucking pandemic if I would have been smart. Well, I wasn't. So I said, all right, cool. I bought a laptop. I bought all this shit that I needed. And then I took online classes to learn how to use Pro Tools. So that took me a little bit. And then I started slowly recording things. I'm still, to this day, I'm still really caveman about everything. So it takes me like a week and a half to do something Marty could do in an hour.
Right.
But whatever, I'm moving
You're
forward.
learning. You're learning.
I'm learning. And, you know, so I did all this stuff. But then when I was sitting talking to Marty, you know, he said about the thing and you know, so I started thinking about it. I go, you know what? He's right. Like there's no, you know, when we were kids, if I wanted to buy a record, I just went to, you know, Sam Goody's or Virgin or Tower Records or fuck for that matter, Sears and Roebuck's. And I bought their, you know, I bought a record.
Of course, yeah.
But all those avenues are gone now. And the stores that still do sell records like Walmart, Kmart, or Best Buy, I know for a fact that they only buy whatever is the top, whatever's in the top 20 of Billboard.
Right.
Okay. So that's out.
Right.
Radio for a guy like me is minimal to non-existent. So how do I get my song out there? Streaming is the new radio.
Yep. Absolutely.
There is no MTV. So YouTube is the new MTV.
Yep.
So you know, I don't know how this is going to pan out, if this is, you know, but I even like my acoustic record, even the Dead Daisies to a degree, like majority of the records we sold was through the deaddaisies.com,
Yep.
Amazon, or at the shows.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that part of it's not going to change for me. Like once I do have vinyl and CDs, I'm going to sell them through Amazon and, you know, Amazon, johncorabi.com, and at my shows. But it's now I'm just sitting there going, okay, so, you know, oh, all right. So now it's new to me because I'm not hiring a video company for a couple $100,000 to do
Right.
a video. So now I'm making calls. I go, hey, dude, how do you do? Like, you know, what do you do when you do your videos? Oh, I got this. You know, so I talked to this friend of mine in Nashville who's a video, like he's a cinematographer, videographer.
Sure.
And he goes, yeah, I'll help you do your videos. I said, okay. So what kind of a camera do I need to buy? And he just laughed at me. He goes, dude, I have a $20,000 camera that I bought 15 years ago. I shot my documentary on it. And he goes, it's out. But he goes, that camera today is completely obsolete.
Wow.
So he goes, you want to film a video? He goes, get an iPhone 11 or 12. And so my video was literally filmed on 2 iPhones.
No, really? Wow.
We took two.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's all iPhones.
Wow.
And then we sent it to this buddy of mine, Scotty in Denver, and he just ran it through an editing program and then sent me the video back. He had all the credits, everything put in there. And, you know, but it's like, I'm going, wait, iPhone? I can do the whole thing on an iPhone?
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I've watched that video a handful of times and I would never know that was on an iPhone.
2 iPhones, but like just different angles. Right. And then Scotty edited. So, you know, so the whole thing was done on iPhones. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I learned a lot doing the first one. Hopefully my second one won't take as long, but you know, we'll see.
That's understandable. So now, John, how do you measure success then in 2021, right? Back in the 80s, 90s, the bands you loved in the 60s and 70s, you know, gold, platinum, double platinum meant you were a success. Today, unless you're Taylor Swift, you're not selling anywhere near those numbers. So how do you measure success in 2021?
You know what? I learned a very hard, valuable lesson when I was in Motley. Obviously everybody knows what, you know, the record did or didn't do. The tour was, you know, a nightmare. Mm-hmm. I was the new ingredient. You know, and then I left. And the one thing that I learned was when I left the band, my phone stopped ringing. And it was kind of a harsh reality. Like I was the guy that was invited to all the parties, the backstage things. Let's go in the limo. Let's do this. Let's go to the Playboy Mansion. Let's do that. And then the minute they made the announcement that Vince was back, like if I wanted to have a message on my answering machine, I had to call myself. It was like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And it's weird. I just sat there and I went, you know what? It's really just about waking up in the morning. The fact that you wake up and you open your eyes, it's a good day. It's a healthy day.
Amen.
I have
life is good. That's what life is all about. Just life is good.
and it's like I have a small group, not a large group, but I have a small group of friends and family around me that are incredibly supportive of me, but they're also honest enough with me and just straightforward. And we have a great relationship to the point where they can say to me, you know what, Crab, you're being a fucking idiot. Back the fuck up. And I go, okay, mental check, head check, boom. So I have a beautiful family around me. And I'm still, I think about it. And it's funny because sometimes I do look at things and I go, okay, like, what am I doing wrong?
Hmm.
Why can't I sell records? Why can't I be like Nikki Sixx or Steven Tyler or you know what I mean? All these guys, like why am I not driving around in a Lamborghini or you know what I mean?
Right. You've been right there on that edge so many times, right? Right
Yeah.
there.
And it's just like this, like I always tell everybody, if you could draw an imaginary straight horizontal line and say everything above it is fame and everything below it is obscurity, I've literally been scraping my back
So
on
true.
that line my whole career.
So true.
But
Yeah.
the Motley thing really made me look at the importance of, you know what, you do the best you can, fight for the things that you can change, fight for the things that you can make better.
Mhm.
And then there's just some things, man, that are out of your control. You
Yeah.
can't change it. You can't, like, I can't change the fact that, you know, when I was in the Scream, I had no idea I was going to get a call to join Motley.
Right.
I had no idea that Motley was going to bring Vince back,
Right.
you know, and I had no idea that my first record deal and the Motley record would come in the height of the music industry completely changing again.
Sure. Of course.
And, you know, so it's honestly, it's the hand that I was dealt.
Right.
I played it. I didn't win that hand.
Mhm.
On to the next hand. And that's what I'm doing now, man. I'm just, you know, I just tell myself every day, I sit there and I go, you know what? Fuck, man, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I
You
got a
still had
record.
more success than 99.5% of the people who try to do this.
That's the thing. And
Yep.
it's like, you know, there's guys that go through their whole life that don't get one record deal.
Exactly.
I had one with the Scream, one with Motley, one with Union, the Dead Daisies,
Yep.
even a solo guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, fuck, I've had 5 record deals and I'm still going, still releasing music. And people like you still want to talk to me and still give a
Absolutely.
shit. So I went, you know what? Life's not that bad. It's been a little crazy, like I said, this last 18 months because I'm watching my savings account dwindle.
Sure.
But I'm just going, you know what? I still have to believe that the universe, whatever,
Mhm.
is going to pull me out of this and
Mhm.
something is going to happen. And one of these songs is going to connect with people and it's going to turn my whole life around again. And so that's what I go by. That's success to me. The fact that I'm still here is okay with me.
Amen. And so, and it's funny because if you would have read the ridiculous news stories, people would have thought you were going back to Motley Crue. And the second I saw that, I started laughing. I'm like, that's no friggin' way that that's happened. And I know you addressed it on social media, and I don't want you to rehash that unless you want.
No. And the thing is,
But how does that even start? I'm like, that's ridiculous. The second I read that, like, there's no friggin' way that's happening.
you know, but the thing of it is you sit there, and you sit there as a person who wants to tell a story. You're you know, in a way, you're reporting the news that John Corabi's
Sure.
got a new single out. You know, and the thing that amazes me sometimes, and the only reason why I retorted, because if you really think about it, I didn't respond to the first 2
I know.
things they were posting at all. I just
know.
like, fuck it, whatever, I'll let it go.
Yep.
The only reason why I responded to the third one was because it said I was in secret rehearsals with my group.
Right.
But then I got up in the morning. I get up every day at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I have some coffee. I go out on my patio with my dogs. I throw the ball. I'm just sitting there and I turn my phone on and my text messages, it was like bing, 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 bing,
Right.
bing, bing. And then I've got friends going, oh, great, dude. You were in LA. You didn't fucking call me. Or like, you know, or some people are going,
Uh-huh.
hey, bro, is there any truth to this? Or
Yeah,
like, are
yeah.
you rehearsing with? So I got those and I go, all right, you know, so I went on and I reposted it. And I just, if I ignore it, I can't win.
Right. Of
If I
course.
say anything, I can't win. So that was my last thing. I posted, hey guys, here's the deal. There's zero truth to this.
Yep.
Don't buy into it. It's just clickbait shit. And I hit send.
Yep.
Well, now they came back and they said John Corabi's kind of trying to cover his tracks.
Oh God.
Absolutely rehearsing with Motley Crue. We've got a source. And then all these people then start writing to me going, the people that didn't like the record, they start writing, "You're a fucking loser. If you're going out with Motley, I'm selling my tickets. I don't want to fucking, if it's not Vince, it's not Motley." And I'm like, I didn't do this.
Don't blame me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, listen, man, if you've got issues about this, write to Metal Den.
Exactly.
Write to Metal Den. They're the ones that are, and the thing that amazes me, like if you want to call yourself a journalist or a reporter or a whatever, dude, how do you get off on stating something that is not true?
Right. Well, it's clickbait. Like you said, it's clickbait.
I'm like, but it was funny. Even after I retorted and said, "Hey guys, there's absolutely no truth to this at all," they're like, "He's lying.
He's lying."
And I'm like,
right. But so now there is truth to it. That weren't you recording with Mick Mars for his solo album?
No, Mick asked me to do 2 songs like 3 years ago.
Right. Yep.
And I did them.
Yep.
I love Mick, and to be honest with you, we had actually talked about writing for his solo record. I basically said to him though, like, "Hey, dude, I'm not trying to be an asshole because I didn't sign it, but you did sign a thing that said you guys couldn't work with any of the other members of Motley Crue."
Right.
And whether you guys want to admit it or not, I was a member.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know if this will come back and bite you in the ass and he thought about it for a minute. And then I just said, at the end of the day, my schedule, because I was still in the Daisies at the time, I was like, my schedule's ridiculous and yours is kind of just as crazy. So I just don't have the time for it. So I did the 2 songs. Whether or not he's going to use them, I have no idea. I don't know. Okay. But I'm as excited as you guys are to hear this record. You know what I mean? I want to hear it.
Right. So. No, to me, I'm excited to hear that. And, one other thing I'll say about Motley with 94 is, Tommy and Mick have both been very complimentary of that album in recent years. And I even saw Tommy recently said something along the lines of, they actually talked about doing one of the songs on their last tour or one of their last tours before they retired. Have you ever heard that before? And what would be your thoughts if Vince was doing one of your songs from the 94 album?
I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. I'm fine with Tommy. I'm fine with Mick.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm fine with Vince.
Right.
So if they want to attempt Hooligan's Holiday with Vince, fucking have at it.
Go for it.
Knock yourself out. I don't give a shit. I honestly, listen, on one hand, I was really devastated when the band brought Vince back, but I was also really kind of relieved to a degree, because trying to get that next record was fucking brutal.
Sure.
And once I started Union, and then I was doing RATT, and then I did my own couple solo records, and I did Join the Dead Daisies. Dude, I can honestly tell you, there hasn't been one time that I actually thought about calling the guys going, "Hey dude, let's fucking put the crew back together again."
Right.
I don't think about it.
Right.
I have called Tommy and said, "Hey dude, I've got a couple of tracks that I would love to have you just maybe throw some drums on." And he even said to me, he's like, "Hey Crab, man, like, no offense, I'm just not into that kind of stuff anymore."
Right.
I went, "Okay."
Yep. Yeah, we've heard this all stuff. We know it.
Yeah, no, and it's fine. To each his own. You know what I mean? I've talked to Mick about maybe doing a guitar track for me, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, whatever." So, but actually going back, and that I've never thought of that, not once.
Yep.
It's a part of my life. It's a part of my career that I'm very proud of. But once they made the choice to, cut ties with me and then move on with Vince, I that was it. I was okay. Right. And you know what? I get it.
Sure.
I get it. I understand that's what the fans want. And to be honest with you, that's what the record label bought.
Of course. Right. Fair point.
You know, if you go to a supermarket and you say, I want Idaho potatoes,
Right.
and they hand you the little red baby ones, you're going to be like, no, that's not what I bought. Right. I want fucking Idaho.
Right.
And so I get it. And, you know, so I and I don't mean it as a slag, but I haven't thought about Motley since 1997 or 6 or whenever it was. And I, you know, left the band. There's been a few little reminders, you know, when they called me up and they asked me to do a few chapters in the dirt, I was like, yeah, okay. As far as the movie goes, to be honest with you, I was shocked that I was even mentioned in it. And to be honest with you, if I could be blunt,
please,
I really fucking wish they would have kept me out of it.
I don't blame you.
My part was fucking, it was insulting. I thought it was like, that was somebody saying, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was kind of insulted by it. But I don't think of them. So I don't know what the big deal is. You know what I mean? It's never going, when I say it's never going to happen, it's never going to happen.
I agree with you. And if people do want to relive that, you a few years back were doing some shows where you were playing the whole album front to back, which was some great shows. You put out a live album for that. So that to me is the keepsake that people, if they want something more current, that's the opportunity. And
even that, it wasn't my idea.
Okay.
My manager at the time, I was doing a show somewhere and it was, you know, like March 20th or some shit, like 2014. And I was doing a show and I was doing some Union and some Scream and some Motley and all the whatever. And a fan yelled up from the audience, "Happy anniversary." And I was telling a story, so I didn't acknowledge it. And they went, "Crab, happy anniversary." And I'm going, so I stopped.
What?
I stopped telling my story. I go, "The fuck are you talking about? Happy anniversary?" And they're like, "No, dude, the Motley record came out today, 20 years ago."
Okay.
So, and then everybody started clapping.
Right.
So I go, okay, cool, whatever. We did Hooligan's Holiday and something else from the thing. And then I left and my manager was the one that said, "You know what, dude, actually, now that I think about it, in hindsight, you guys only really toured like 2 or 3 months."
Right. Yep.
And then went home. We went home with our tail between our legs. He goes, "You never played in Canada. There's a ton of places in America we never played.
Yep.
You never played in Mexico or South America or Europe."
Yep.
He goes, "I think you should do that album in its entirety as a 20th anniversary thing." And I'm like, nope, not going to happen. I don't want to do it. And my son and the guys in my band said, "Dude, that would be fucking badass." Okay, fine, let's do it.
Right.
Now we did it, and it was starting to carry over into the 2015. And so I just went, I don't really want I don't want to be, in all honesty, I don't want to ride Motley's coattails.
Sure.
So I said, I'm done. That's it. You know what? Let's do one show in Nashville. We'll record it. I was initially going to try and do a DVD and an album, but all the footage would just, I don't know what kind of filter they put on the DVD shit, but it was a complete waste of, you know, the money that I spent for it. But so I was going to do a DVD and a record. And then I just went, you know what, fuck the DVD. Let's just put the record out. If anybody wants to hear what it sounded like as a band with no triggers, no tapes, just a band going out and playing shit live, boom, put it out. And I did it. Now last year, or 2019, I got offered to come over to Australia and a promoter booked me 4 shows, and like, my agent still gets offers for me to come and do the Motley 94 thing.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I went over. I didn't want to do it. I kept trying to talk the guy out of it. I said, dude, well, what about the Scream? What about the, the Dead Daisy stuff or the Union stuff I got?
Sure.
Nope. I just want you to come over and I want you to play the Motley 94 album from top to bottom. All right, fine. So I went over and I did it. All 4 shows were sold out. But I was sitting there the whole trip doing this thing, and I was just stewing on this fucking thing going, you know what? So I went up, last show we did in Adelaide. I literally walked up to the mic and we did the first couple songs. And then I said, hey guys, I want to thank you guys for all coming here. This is the last time I will ever play this set again. This is it. The last one was in Adelaide.
Right.
I'm never going to do it again. Now, what I can do is I can do songs from all throughout my career.
Right.
And I can do any one of those songs from the Motley record, but I don't have to do the whole record.
You don't have to do it front to back. Right.
No,
right.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Right. And I'll say for me as a fan, I just loved hearing Drift Away, which to me is one of the best songs, Motley Crue songs, period. Best songs of the decade. So that, to me, that's always been a standout track. So it's exciting just to even hear you do that song.
And it's great. I like, surprisingly, that song almost didn't make the record because a lot of people in the label and the management, they fucking hated it.
Wow.
And it was honestly a song that I had written prior to joining Motley.
Oh, really? Okay.
And, I brought it to the guys and they were like, oh, we love this. So we did it. And we came up with that arrangement. But it's funny now. I'll play a little bit of it, and then not the whole song. I kind of do a medley. So I do like Drift Away, and sometimes I'll put it together with Home Sweet Home because it's similar. So I do the 2 songs, but it's funny, some of the reactions that I get for Drift Away. I didn't think anybody, because it's, it's the last song on the record. You know what I mean? Fucking whatever, but it's cool. You know what? I had fun with it. I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm bitching or whining, but I just, and especially vocally, that record is just so over the top. At 62, it's really hard to stand on stage and just go bang, 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 like all those records from top to bottom. So,
I'll say, I noticed you said before you play these shows with no triggers, no tapes, and we know in the industry right now that seems to be the norm, which I don't love. But I was thinking, man, that's got to be tough for you to do those songs. None of us are getting any younger, and singers, we know that voice is a tough thing to maintain. But you sound great doing them. But I'm thinking when you said that's got to be tough with no triggers, no tapes to do those songs still.
Yeah, and it was brutal in Australia because, again, I had been on tour with the Daisies. I had about a week and a half off. So I came home, I rehearsed with my band, and then this is crazy, but we flew to, was it Sydney or Melbourne? I can't remember now, but I think it was Sydney. But we flew from Nashville to LA to Sydney, arrived in Sydney at like 1:00 in the afternoon. So we had that day off. And then the next day I did Sydney, then the next day Melbourne, then the next day Brisbane, then the next day Adelaide. And then we went right from there to the airport and flew home.
Oh, wow.
So it was 4 shows in a row, jet lagged and fucking like, so I just went, oh man, I love this music, but I don't want to do a Motley tribute show.
Understandable.
So I just walked up at Adelaide and I went, thank you guys for coming. This is the last time you will ever see this show.
Yeah. So then let me ask you about this, because to me, I loved Union, and I felt that was probably the right bands at the wrong time is the way I'm going to describe it, right? Late 90s was just not a good time for hard rock bands, hard rock music. But I thought Bruce Kulick, I thought that band was just incredible. What are your thoughts and memories of Union?
Again, a great band. But again, as we were saying earlier, I have consistently, like, It's funny. I have consistently, every band that I did, for whatever reason, whatever the circumstances were, the Scream was really just starting to pick up steam.
Yep.
Then the Motley thing happened, and down came the House of Cards. But even that record was in 91.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And then the Motley record 94, and then the Union shit in 98 and 2000. Yeah. And it's just like, I have consistently been at the right place at the wrong time.
Yes. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
And again, it's not my doing. Like, I was just happy to get a record deal. But it was funny. I remember, when I was in the Scream, we were in London. We did a show at the Astoria Theater, and the record label took us to see Nirvana at a club. And we just sat there like with our mouths open, like, holy fuck, these guys are badass. And then our bass player, Juan Alderetti, he went, you know what, dude? This is a game changer.
And were you a fan, or did you say?
Yeah, I love that record. You know, I liked a lot of that stuff. You know, call it grunge, call it whatever you want. Whatever, yep. You know what I mean? Again, I fucking hate labels, but I think the record business is its own worst enemy, because as far back as you can remember, like, Elvis Presley, you know, as soon as Elvis Presley started kicking ass, they started looking for the next Elvis Presley.
Yep.
There was Pat Boone, there was this guy, there was that guy, you know, blah, blah, blah. Then the Beatles come along. And then it was like, you remember the British invasion. It was like the Beatles, and then the fucking Stones, and the Who, and the Kinks, and, you know, and it's just weird. The record labels have notoriously sat there throughout the years, and they get one successful band, and then they immediately go out and start looking for bands like that one successful band. So then they flood the market, where it just becomes like oversaturated with the same shit. Yep. And then it takes this other new band to come along and go, fuck you. Yep. We're doing it our way. And then it shifts again. So to a degree, I was excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, these guys are refreshing. They're really cool. Yep. You know, but you know, it is what it is. Again, the House of Cards fell. But I have literally spent my entire career being at the right place at the wrong time. Agreed. Yep. Now, the Union thing came along. Bruce and I were on the exact same page, musically and personally. We were going through separations with our girls. We just lost these massive gigs. We didn't know where our next fucking, you know, paycheck was coming from, and we just sat down and we wrote honest music that was very relevant to everything that was going on in our lives. And it, you know, unfortunately, again, the band, we were doing okay live, but it wasn't translating into actual record sales, which is where the bands make their money. Of course. Right. But it's funny because now it's, you know, 1991. So this year, 2021, is 30 years ago I did the Scream record.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
And it's weird because now it seems like all those records I did 30, 24, you know, 25, you know, 20 years ago, like all three of those records, the Scream, the Motley stuff, and the Union stuff, now everybody's like, oh, what a great band. What a great record. Yep. So it's just, you know, I can't figure it out for the life of me, because everybody now is looking at the Scream record like one of the best records of the 90s. Right. And the Motley record, one of the best records Motley ever did. Oh, Union. Like, you know, so dude, if anybody watching this figures it out, please email me at jcorabi@gmail.com. Because I can't figure it out. I have no idea.
I can. Now, do you think that you'd ever, I'll say, reunite with Union again? I know in 2018 I was on the Kiss cruise and you were there. Bruce Kulick was there. I'm like, this is it. It's gonna happen, and then it never happens. Like, damn it.
No, and I love Bruce. I love Brent. I love Jamie. I told Bruce if we were ever going to do anything, it has to be the 4 original members.
Makes sense. Yep.
The other thing was we had talked about, because we were offered some pretty good money to go do like a Monsters of Rock cruise or whatever. And, Bruce was like, well, I think we need to do a record. And I said, you know what, Bruce, honestly, and this was only a couple of years ago. I just said, I disagree, man. I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I go, people just aren't buying records anymore. So I said, what I think we should do is let's just go out and do some shows. Let's have some fun.
Yep.
And let's see if we do a run of shows. Let's see, first of all, if anybody even shows up. And if they do, then maybe what we should do is just write a couple songs, 2, 3 songs.
Do an EP or something like that.
And just do this fucking thing that I'm doing now. Like put them out there for people to download and talk about. And maybe if schedules, because we have talked about doing some shows.
Okay.
Because we're friends. We never really split up. It was just, we weren't making any money. Bruce got offered the Grand Funk gig. I got offered the RATT gig, and James and Brent got offered the Vince Neil gig. Right. And it was better paying gigs for us. Right. So we just went and did other things, but, love to do some shows with those guys. I miss those guys. You know what I mean? So, if the opportunity arose, but it's getting Bruce's schedule together with Grand Funk, Brent's schedule together with Slash, my schedule together with my solo shit. Jamie's playing with Roger Daltrey. Right. So it's trying to get all 4 of us in the same continent, the same city at the same time, and figure it out. But
all right, but it sounds like you're saying you're open to it and you wouldn't shut the door, that there's always a chance for it.
I wouldn't want to do a record. I wouldn't want the pressure of having to do a record. I feel like let's just look at what we did, put a kick-ass set together. Let's put a kick-ass set together and just go out and throw down again and see if there is, because that'll tell us if we can go to, where are you located at?
I'm on Long Island, New York.
Okay, so, we do a show in Long Island. If nobody shows up, we know there's really no interest in this band at all. And then we go away, no harm done, no foul. Right. If there is interest, then we can sit down and say, okay, let's look at some riffs. Let's maybe try and do 4, 5, 6 songs. And we can release them like I'm releasing them now, maybe do an EP, sell them through Bruce's website, my website, Brent's website, whatever, Amazon, and see. I wouldn't be against that, but again, it's really a scheduling thing. Sure. Is there even whatever. Yeah. So
well, I can tell you I have a lot of Kiss fans that watch the show or on my pages, and a lot of Kiss fans are saying, we need that. So I definitely think that there's interest there. I kind of am on your side with, you don't need new music there, but I know the fans would love to see even a one-off show at a Kiss Expo, on a cruise, like you said, whatever it is, something. We'd love to see that at least one more time.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like I was talked to, I think it was the Monsters of Rock cruise, and they had talked to me, because I'm the mayor, I do the cruise every year, and they were like, "Hey, dude, how would you feel about doing like one? Come on the boat, one cruise, one Union reunion?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. Let's see." Sure. But again, we started towards the end there. you know, we were doing shows. We went to Japan and Brent Fitz couldn't do them. So we had Eric Singer fill in.
Right.
Nothing against Eric Singer.
Mm-hmm.
We did a run in Europe. It was Union, but it was me and Bruce with Fred Corey and Chuck Garrett because Brent and Jamie couldn't make it.
Sure.
And I'm adamant about, if we're gonna do this, if we ever do get the opportunity to go do some shows again, I don't even want to hear about it unless it's Bruce, Brent, Jamie, and myself, the original 4 members.
That makes sense to me. That
Yeah.
totally makes sense to me. So earlier you had mentioned that you're working on a book, right? So let's talk about that. What's the status of the book, and when could we expect that to come out?
The book is done. I just finished up the last of the reading, speaking, audiobook part today. There's a couple of spots where the book publisher would like some music underneath, almost like a movie, where I'm narrating and there's a little bit of music underneath. So we're going to do that tomorrow. We're looking at I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I know they're looking at an April 12th release 2022. But I think they might take pre-orders earlier, like maybe November, December of this year. The book is called, and this, you'll get a kick out of this as per our conversation earlier. The book is called Horseshoes and Hand Grenades.
Okay. That's great. Love it. Love it.
And, you know, it all stemmed from something my dad said. You know, I made a comment about when I did my acoustic record years ago. I took some old songs that I felt, man, you know, well, just due to the circumstances, these songs really weren't given like their due, you know, attention. So I'm going to redo some old songs, put some new songs on there. And my dad's like, what are you going to call a record? I go, well, I'm going to call it John Corabi's Almost Greatest Hits. And my dad said, or you could just call it Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. And I go, what the fuck does that mean? He goes, yeah, you know, you don't have to be spot on. You just got to be close.
Right. Yep.
My
dad used to say the same thing, so I get it.
You just got to be close. And my dad laughed about it. I was like, oh, that's genius. So I wrote it down and I tucked it away. I lost my dad in 2014. But I said, man, at some fucking point, I'm going to do either an album or a book, and I'm going to call it Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, because that phrase completely sums up my entire life. Do you know what I mean? Like, not just with the bands being at the right place at the wrong time, but anybody that knows me knows I've been married 3 times. And it's just like, every time you get into a relationship, you're like, this is the one. This is the one. You know, God, okay, you know, why are you talking to the pool boy, honey? We don't have a pool. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever. So it's like, my whole, and it's funny, even the publishing company went, you don't have like that VH1 behind the scenes thing at all. That's not you at all. But fuck, your story is insanely interesting. It's like, I've just been right there, like every time. And I just didn't quite grab the brass ring. You know what I mean? So I thought that title was genius, and that's the name of the book.
And do you think that this book, when it comes out, is it going to be one of those that causes a stir amongst some people?
It may.
Okay. So you'll go for broke. You're going to give your honest thoughts and opinion on the situations that you were in through your career.
Yeah. You know, it's like, listen, man, you know, short of, and I think if you go back and you look at my, you know, interviews all through my career, I have been blatantly honest about things. I don't give a shit. Like, you know what? I can sit here and tell you, oh yeah, that Motley record we did, man, I fucking loved it. We sold 3 million. And as soon as you get off this interview, you're going to check Google and go, dude, what's he talking about? It went gold.
It went gold. I know it went gold. Right, exactly.
It was a fucking disaster.
But you know, John, I have to say this. It went gold in '94. And think about the music scene at that time. That's, to me, a pretty good feat, right? So we were talking before about, you know, Motley not being on the road for that long.
I get it, but you have to understand something. Now it looks interesting in 1994. In 1994, to the cookie counters, it was like,
right. It's not 3 million the way Dr. Feelgood was.
How do you go from selling 16 million with Dr. Feelgood to 500,000? That's, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I've always been blunt. If you ask me a question and you go, well, how was that tour? It was fucking brutal. We went out with 11 trucks and we came home with 4. We were all sweating bullets. We were all investing money back into the tour. We were all freaking out, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I've been honest about everything. You know, so I don't really think anything I'm saying in the book is a revelation to anybody.
Sure.
What I'm talking about, especially even during the chapters about Motley, I'm just telling you how I felt as I was going through all that shit as it was happening.
Right.
How, you know, how angry I was or how stressed I was. So it may piss some people off, but I don't really give a fuck, because at the end of the day, it's the truth. It's my truth.
It's your version of the truth. It's your story.
You know, and it's weird because you say your version of the truth. I could sit there and go, fuck, man, I got this chance one time to fuck Salma Hayek. No, that, you know, it's to me, it's the truth.
Right. That makes sense.
And I'm not doing, like, even there's some things in there, like, you know, there's a couple stories about ex-wives and things like that. And I'm pretty sure when they read it, they're going to be pissed, but I don't give a shit. It's like, I went through this. This is what happened. And if you're pissed about it, it's only because I'm calling you out publicly on this shit, but this is the truth. And this is how I felt as that was happening. So I don't really care at this point. I've honestly been saying all the shit that I'm saying. This is just more diving into, like, my psyche, my feelings, my ulcers, my whatever at the time, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. So,
and like you said to me before when we were starting, you're actually on the road right now recording the audiobook. So it sounds like there will be an audiobook version of it as well, right?
And to be honest with you, this company, they're called Rarebird. They want to do an audiobook, the book, hard and soft cover, and then they actually want to do, which is kind of weird to me, but they I guess it's like a collector's thing. I don't know, but they're actually going to take a few of the best stories and do like a vinyl thing.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. Again, man, it's like glass half full, glass half empty. I'm just happy that a publisher stepped up and went, yeah, I know who you are, dude. Yeah, I'd love to do your book. Sure. And now that I've done the book, they're just sitting here going, wow, fuck, are you kidding me? This story is fascinating. I don't know if it is or not. I always thought that I was kind of vanilla and boring because I wasn't slamming dope and fucking hookers and, you know, all that shit. I was just, you know, let's how can we make this EA chord awesome? And then when I was done, I'm like, well, I'm going home to my wife and kids. Like I've always been kind of normal to a degree.
Right.
And so I just, for the longest time, I thought my story was kind of vanilla and not very interesting, but they seem to love the story and I'm excited that they love it. So it's all good.
I'm excited to read it. And, you know, even just hearing some of the stories today, as we've been chatting, to me, it's exciting. And I look forward to the book next year. You know, one thing I just wanted to touch on, you mentioned it a few times. You think back to when you were in RATT. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I had a great time with those guys. They're and I love the band. Like when they first came out, I was like, fuck, who are these guys?
Sure.
And I had fun with them. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple things I talk about in my book and I talk about, and it's, again, I'm not saying anything that everybody doesn't already know and doesn't already say themselves. RATT is an insanely dysfunctional band. You know what I mean? And it's been that way for a long time. And, you know, so I talk about that. I talk about the dysfunction, but individually, I fucking love those guys. They're fucking funny dudes. They're great guys. Bobby Blotzer, he absolutely drove me batshit crazy.
Okay. Yep.
Just annoyed me, angered me, but he's also one of the, in his own lughead way, he's one of the sweetest guys on the fucking planet, and he makes me laugh.
Right.
So, you know, it is what it is. Sure. But, you know, I had a great time with those guys, and it was funny. It was 8 years.
Yeah, it was a while.
And it was like it was still being able to do what I love to do, but not having to worry about the bullshit of how many records did we sell? How many tickets did we sell? How many t-shirts did we sell? Is the promoter happy? Blah, blah, blah. So like Robbie Crane and I, you know, especially the last couple tours we did, it was Steven, Warren, and Bobby.
Yep.
And Robbie Crane and I just sat on the stage. We were hired guns, and we just did our gig, and we got to drink cold Guinness and smoke our cigarettes, drink some whiskey, and travel the world. And on Fridays, we put our hand out, and they put a check in it.
Sure.
So it was a way for me to kind of mentally check out of all the business bullshit you have to deal with when you're the leader of a band or whatever.
And how different was that for you to not be the front man? Forget even the business side of it for 30 seconds.
Didn't bother me at all.
Didn't bother you at all? Okay.
Nope. Because they asked me before they got Jizzy Pearl, they asked me to sing for them.
Oh, did they really? Okay.
And I went, nah, I bought this shirt, buddy. I'm not doing it again. Okay. No, I did the Vince Neil thing. I'm not doing the Stephen Pearcy thing. Not going to happen. And then just in talking, they're like, yeah, we need a singer and a guitar player. And I went, I'll play guitar for you. And I go, I'll give you fucking awesome backing vocals.
Exactly. Yep.
And they said, well, oh, you can play? And I go, yeah, dude, I played all through Motley. Yeah. So then Warren just had me come over to his house, and he just said, you know what? Learn this solo in Round and Round. Okay. So I learned it, went over to his house, and then he showed me the harmony. And then I was like, okay, so I did the harmony. He did the solo. We played the song. We played the solo. He goes, all right, cool, you're in.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Right. Now, I know that you had one writing credit on the album that came out in, what was it, 2010. Did you write any other songs with them during that time, or was it only the one?
No, and actually that song was a song.
Was it Don't Let Go, right? Don't Let Go.
Well, Bobby Blotzer did a solo record earlier, 2001 or some shit.
Okay.
And so I did that, and I helped him with a song, but I wound up singing I was only supposed to do like 2 songs, and then he wanted Janie Lane to do a few, and Jack Russell, and I wound up singing the whole record. But it was Bobby's solo record, 24/7. That's Bobby's solo record. But I helped him with one of the songs, and then when they did the RATT record, he just kind of took that song again and and they retweaked it. And they gave me a songwriting credit, but I was like, okay, cool. So it was actually a song that I wrote with Bobby for his solo.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then they just reused it again.
Right. So you've been in a number of bands that we've spoke about here tonight. Now you're doing some solo stuff. Solo or band? What's your preference?
Listen, at the end of the day, I like doing both. I love acoustic music as well. And it's just, you know what, again, I was 60, I'm 62. And it's just the time that I grew up in. And I've been saying this quite a few interviews. I said, man, like when I was a kid, it wasn't that unusual to go see Black Sabbath on Monday, go see James Taylor or Cat Stevens on Wednesday.
Right. Yeah.
And then go see a band like Yes on Friday. So I like a lot of different things. I love doing the acoustic shows because it's easy. Sure. I literally walk in with my acoustic guitar, my tuner, plug in, I check the mic, boom, boom, boom. I get the monitors where I want. And then I just walk away. I have my dinner. I get showered. I come back. And there's not even a set list.
Right. Yep.
It's just loose.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell stories. And like we're talking now,
Yep.
talk to the audience. I fuck with people. I'll get ready to start a song. And they're like, Hooligan's Holiday. And I'm like, no, fuck you. Whatever. But so I fuck with the audience. I tell them jokes. I tell them stories. And to be honest with you, they're more into the stories than the music.
Mm-hmm.
So I do all this shit and I'll play some covers. It's not unusual for me to pull out like Hard Luck Woman or Beth or, a Creedence song or an Aerosmith song or a Zeppelin song, whatever, Beatles. Mm-hmm. And I just have fun. Boom, done, leave. But I do want to, what I'd like to do is maybe get 3-4 new songs out and get my son and all my guys together, whoever's available, put a badass band together and get out and hit. Like, it's crazy. I was just telling somebody the other day, I've never played in a lot of places in America. There's a lot of places I've never played. Never done one show ever with Scream, Motley, Union, me solo, nothing, RATT in Vancouver, Canada. Never done one.
Wow.
There's places like Newfoundland I've never been to, Iceland, so I'm like, I want to fucking put a band together. And I think with some new songs, if I have the, again, have the vinyl and the CDs at my shows, I can go out and I can play new songs, 4 or 5 new songs. I can do some Scream, some Union, some Motley, even some Dead Daisies, and go out and I could play for hour and a half, 2 hours with a full band. I would love nothing more than that. But I think it's a little premature right now. I think I need to have 3 or 4 songs out before I do this. So hopefully early 2022, plus I got to rehearse and
sure.
I want to put on a good show. So that'll give me plenty of time if I want to really get my shit together and get the band rehearsed and get out and start playing.
So, to me, it sounds like 2022 is going to be a year for you. New book, some new songs. Hopefully the world opens up. You could do some touring and we can certainly keep an eye out for you in all of those different areas.
Right. But once again, right place, wrong time. I'm releasing a book and new music and getting ready to go tour during a global pandemic.
Yes.
So nobody will be there to hear me play or read the book.
Well, definitely people hopefully read the book because I think it's a great story. And I'm hoping, knock on wood, I'm hoping by next year things are opening up and we can see you out in the clubs or wherever it may be across America, Canada, wherever you want to travel.
From your mouth to God's ears, my friend.
Absolutely. Anything else, John, that you wanted to cover here today before we wrap up?
No, I think we did everything. If anybody wants to check out the music, it's on all your digital streaming download sites, johncorabi.com for any tour dates and merch or whatever. And just thanks for the 30 years of support, man. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And, I know on your site also, you've in the past, at least, has offered some signed vinyl. So hopefully with the new one, there'll be some opportunities like that. Cause I think the fans like that as well.
Yeah. And there's actually some, a couple things this year. I know there's a label or somebody, a label that's putting out the first Union record on vinyl is coming out.
Excellent.
So we'll be doing updates when that happens, and I'm pretty sure that there's another limited run of the Scream album again.
Oh, awesome.
On vinyl as well. So just stay tuned for that, and I'll put that out there when it happens. And I just can't thank everybody enough, man.
Absolutely. We'll keep an eye out for that. And John, I want to thank you for your time. You were very gracious with your time today. Best of luck with everything, and let's hope the luck turns in 2022.
Again, your mouth to God's ears.
Let's hope so. Thanks a lot, John. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty, there you have it. I'd like to thank John for joining me from his hotel room while recording the audiobook for his upcoming book next year. Thanks so much, John, for spending a lot of time with me. I really appreciated it. I know I can speak on behalf of all fans that I say we're looking forward to more new music and your book as well in the coming months. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You should also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.